Hello, welcome to Shit They Don't Tell You. My name is Steve Green. I am a writer, I am a producer, and I'm an actor.
I am Nikki Limo, podcast host and colleague to Steve Green, the writer, producer, and actor and director.
Not yet, but I plan on it in the future.
Aspiring director.
Yeah.
And today we have a really special guest. We have Jake Michels and Becca Scott with the Victory Points podcast. They co-host that, and they also Jake is a director and a writer, not an aspiring one, a real one. And
I aspire.
Shame. And Becca.
Yeah, but I'm a writer though, but not an aspiring writer.
Okay, well, it's not about you anymore.
Okay.
Becca's an actor and a producer as well, and so thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having
us, Nikki and Steve.
Of course.
It's a pleasure.
Now, you guys do professional tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do you get paid to play tabletop games? That's what everyone wants to know.
That's what we want to know.
Jake gets paid to direct me playing tabletop games.
Yeah.
Wow. By yourself?
That counts.
Sometimes.
It does. I actually don't get to play them a lot, unfortunately. There's been several games that I know quite well that I've never played.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sad
You just
about
gotta
that?
sit there?
Sometimes. Yeah, I get to sit there is the way I look at it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Do you go home and then watch videos of her
Have
playing
envy?
it
Yes.
and then just pretend?
Not only do I watch them once, I have to watch them 3 times because of editing notes. So I get the pain is tripled.
The beauty
time.
of it for me is that I never have to watch a video I'm in ever again.
Oh, that's
fun.
lucky.
That's really lucky.
I love that.
Yeah, so we make web series shows about tabletop games,
Wow.
specifically Game the Game on Geek and Sundry.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
and part of that is you play all different kinds of games.
Yeah, mostly board games or something similar. It'll be on a tabletop like a card game or...
Is there a favorite where you're like,
That's
man,
what I was
every
gonna
time I get to
ask.
play this shit, I'm so stoked.
Well, Jake
That's
gets
the hardest
left out
question
each
in the
time. So
world.
Yeah, every
This
time.
is not a question for Jake.
for Jake, it's like, which one do you
What's your
feel the
favorite
most
to watch,
sadness
Becca?
about
Yeah.
being left out of?
Is there a type that you prefer?
Yeah, well, I want to hear the answer to that question. What's the most sad you are? What's your
I
favorite
will say,
genre
like, I
to
still,
not play?
Anything that's deck building, like Clank,
Me
I
too.
still haven't. Right? Okay,
I
so
love deck builders.
we'll get into what a deck builder is, but like that's
Yeah,
a game
there's-
that we play a lot that I yearn for.
Yeah,
when you
we're
guys play.
getting real esoteric with our terminology already.
I'm so lost
Are you
already.
talking
Open us
deck
up to your
builders? You
world.
talking worker placement? You talking TCGs, trading card games?
these
You talking
acronyms.
legacy games, meaning that there is a set amount of times you play it and you'll do stuff like write on them with permanent marker or rip up cards? What?
No, you do that?
What?
That's so boring sounding. Why would you do that? Let the game
That's like
beat the game.
sarcasm on top of irony. I
yeah.
don't know if you're really
No,
excited
I'm
about
serious.
this.
It sounds terrible. You have to permanent markers shit and no, thank you.
Well, I need
Oh,
to
you
know.
don't like to do work is what you're
No,
saying.
no.
You're like, let the game be the game and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you don't want
Any work.
paperwork.
Let the
is what
game
you're
play
afraid of.
itself.
It's like the
I
game
think
Werewolf.
there's apps like that.
You know the game Werewolf?
Yeah.
It does everything for you. You just fucking
With the
open your eyes and
recording?
close your eyes.
But you don't even like that game.
Well, I don't really, but
I don't like it
but I
either.
like the automated part of it.
Okay.
You like when there's an app for that.
I thought when I first played that game, this is going to be the game for me.
Oh,
Werewolf is a game where you fucking sit there
It's a
and
deception game.
right, and that's the only part of it that's tantalizing to
terminology.
me.
Yeah,
Is I like
thanks.
deception games.
Yes.
But this game is so fucking boring because all the roles you don't even get to do anything. You're a werewolf. Congratulations, you can't kill anybody.
I like it.
So lame. I want to murder people when I am
Thank you.
role playing
So
as
you
a
like
werewolf.
Mafia.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mafia expands it a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Mafia, I love it.
I like
well, I want to know what kind of gamers you guys are.
Yeah, where do you come
That
from?
is really
Deception.
We
interesting.
love Deception. So Salem, have you played Salem?
Yes.
Donner Dinner Party.
Yeah.
Donner Dinner Party. I just got that. as
Oh,
a
it's
matter of
love
so
fact.
that game.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can watch us play it sometime.
Yeah, maybe you
Okay,
can cry
I
a
will.
little when you.
I would love to. Yeah, that'd be
We'll
great.
all play it.
I'll also
Invite you
not
over.
eat and just be really hungry
be
the whole
great.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there'll be snacks just on the other side.
Made of people.
Yeah.
You can watch us eat snacks through glass.
That's
fine.
Mark.
Yeah.
Back there. I like Werewolf because it's like not just deception, but it's also deduction and logic, and like how well you can bullshit logic
Yes.
if you're trying to trick people, and then how well you can like take apart someone's bullshit logic if you're on the good team trying
Yes.
to.
Okay, so I've already determined that you guys, even if you don't know it and don't actively live your life this way, you are hardcore gamers.
We are.
Oh shit.
No, for a lot of people, that part of lying to your friends is very difficult, and they like there's a genre called cooperative games where you're all working against the
Nope.
board or
Sounds
against.
terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. The best part of games is winning. No,
Yes.
that's a part
Yes.
of myself I've had to quiet and put that Becca in a little box and say, you can be a little excited, but don't make people feel bad. But really, competition gets your adrenaline pumping, and it's so
It's the most
exciting.
fun
Oh my
thing.
God, can we be soulmates? Because I like
It's
literally.
already
Sorry, what the
happened.
hell?
It's already
Well,
happened.
you're too busy for games a lot. But I'm on a channel called JK Party, and I recently stepped away from being a regular on that channel because I'm too competitive with games, and people that are watching it take it too seriously.
The audience was
even though
melting
we're
her.
like all bullshitting and like just talking shit and like getting all competitive and amped up. But
Like
like
you
I
do.
just like to win.
Yeah, for sure.
I win.
I'm the biggest shit talker
love
amongst
it.
them, but I think
Yeah.
I'm far more likable than her.
You're true.
And so therefore,
Do you
Yeah.
love
Two
winning?
different audiences.
I just like
okay?
to turn on fire. Yeah.
Do you love winning the most, or do you love trying to win the most?
My
that
favorite
attempt?
feeling is when it's in the second to last turn of a game and you see that scores are close. You're not sure exactly
Yes.
how the points
Yes.
break down, but you know that you're about to turn in a bunch of resources and make hella points when it comes back around to you, so long as nobody blocks you.
Yep.
And then your heart starts pumping.
The adrenaline,
Like,
yeah.
You feel like you're running a marathon because your heart is pumping
You play
out
the
of your
same
chest.
way.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
you got me
Yes.
there. I'm there
I think
with
it's
you.
universal. Honestly, is that feeling?
Yeah.
No,
okay,
it's-
Nikki, we got to book you on our show because we need people to play our board games.
Hell
with
yeah!
us.
If we're
Yeah.
allowed to be competitive, I'm so in.
It makes it a better show.
As
If you
long
guys
as
weren't
it's funny.
competitive, it'd be boring to watch.
Right, that's what we said.
That's what we said.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I can't
a
wait
lot
to talk
of,
shit. I
Yeah, a
love
lot
talking
of
shit.
people are. Yeah, they get really like, oh no, this gives me nightmares about when like I play with my family and they're too competitive. Or something.
Yeah, people really take it really seriously.
Seriously,
They
yeah.
think that the competition at the table is a competition between the actual people. When
Yeah.
you're kind of in a role, right?
Right, yeah,
And
that's-
when
how
we're
I
yelling
feel.
at each other, people think it's real, which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So like, I'll be like, "You fucking bitch about this shit" or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's like,
It's
and we
like
leave
what
there.
we're-
We're laughing, smiling, everything.
Yeah.
It's like when you guys play the colleagues game at home.
Yes.
Exactly.
What
Were
game?
we having sex with each other?
Yeah. That was a little before the roll joke.
Yes.
A little before
Sorry,
the game, a little
listeners.
before the cast, behind the scenes. if you
Anyway, maybe I shouldn't bring up jokes that
No,
they
we
weren't
talk
there
about-
for.
will.
No,
No,
Sorry.
they,
They are all the
they are
time.
in on the
No,
joke.
they
Are
love
they there?
to
Okay.
hear us talk about banging, right?
do.
Don't you guys?
I think
Leave us
they
a
do.
comment. If
Bonus
not,
episode
we're
content.
still gonna talk about banging.
At least while we're in early 30s, I think it'll get weird pretty soon.
No, I think
you're
maybe
consistent.
there's a slump in the 40s, but then like 55 and above, people love to
Yeah,
hear
they're
you talk about
horny.
Do
fucking,
they really?
except your own children. I
Yeah.
assume it
it
gets
becomes
funny.
cuter the older you get past that
Yeah.
point.
There's gonna be people that relate to us no matter what because
That's
like
true.
they grow old too.
Way to find the bright side.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what 50-year-old people are
Or
talking
they
about on
die.
cruises?
On cruises?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing on cruises.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Do you think they're
Yeah.
talking about it
People.
too?
So
Yeah,
many
absolutely.
STIs spreading on those cruises.
You think once
Especially-
you get a certain age, your dick falls off?
No. I'm talking about people being interested in the topic of sex.
Oh,
Like in us
I
talking
think
about
always.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a universal thing. Anyway, let's go back to tabletop gaming.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Back from sex to tabletop gaming.
So
One and the same.
Yeah. We'll just oscillate
But
between
what you said your favorite types of games are stacking the deck games? What
So
is-
deck building is
Deck
what we
building.
said. I think the easiest way
honest?
to explain it was like you have a set amount of cards. We all would have the same set amount of cards. Like we all have 10 cards that are identical. They might have different abilities on them.
Mm.
And then we play our cards, and then we can buy cards from a communal pool that
I
only
like it
some of
because
us
there's
can purchase.
shopping involved.
Yeah. So you make your own deck a little bit differently than how your opponents would, and then you keep playing the cards in that deck to score points or
Destroy.
move on a board
What
or
game is
whatever.
this?
There's lots
Many.
of them.
It's a whole genre.
Yeah, it's a genre.
Is that what Magic of the Gathering is?
Magic the Gathering
No,
is a
that's
little
a
different.
TCG.
Which is
Magic
a
the
collectible
Gathering
card game or
is
tradable.
what I play the most now because there is an online version. I mean, I also like the paper version,
So
but
it does
it's
it for
way
you.
easier to organize
Yes.
because you can and to shop for them. Magic the Gathering Arena is very, very addicting. I actually have a show on Twitch on Saturdays in like 4 show stints where we review the pro players' games, and
Ooh.
it's so much fun to watch Magic played at that level. I swear to God, it is like watching just like
an
the
NFL.
Olympics.
Do you guys know what she
Football
means
game.
by
Are
that
you
level? Because
serious?
there's a professional level, like where millions of dollars are sometimes won, right? Because that's what the biggest prize pool was recently, right?
The biggest
Was
prize
that-
pool was at the Mythic Invitational last year in Boston at PAX East, and they gave away $500,000 to the winner, which is more than a lot of pro players' lifetime winnings, because when they launched the online platform, they started pumping a lot more money into it to try and compete with stuff like Hearthstone and other.
Heard of it?
There you go.
Another
Another
card
RuneScape
game.
recently too.
Sure, RuneScape. That's a.
I don't know if that's
All
a
right.
card.
It's a
game.
video game.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're-
I think it's
But you're in the realm.
I
like
forgot.
a Second
You're in the
Life
realm.
game.
right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but it's a lot of pressure on these people's shoulders, and
Yeah.
like to compete at that level is very, very impressive. And it's a lot of people who were lawyers or have law degrees that left law, but it takes that type of mind. It's very complicated, and there's so much like lawyering of cards that goes into
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of text involved, and that you have to like have all of it memorized and know exactly how to build the deck. But for anyone who's never played Magic the Gathering, if you're playing the standard version, you and one opponent each have 20 life, and you are trying to get the other person to 0 life, and then you win by being the last one standing. And
See, I tried it. Okay, me and my sister, we bought Magic the Gathering back in the day.
yeah.
And it just ended up being like, let's just collect more shit because this game's really boring. Like, you got to have fucking lands, and you got to, I don't know why you have lands.
The lands
Lands
are
are resources.
your mana.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you spend in order to play like a creature. Like if you're playing green, it could be a giant dinosaur that has a strong power and toughness, and then your power is what you deal to the opponent's life total.
Okay.
And so they have to find a way to either play other creatures to attack your dinosaur. Maybe they're playing as elves, or maybe vampires, or it's
Wait,
very,
you can, what do you mean you could be an elf? You could be an elf in Magic the Gathering?
well,
I didn't know that.
there's an elf
Card.
card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
card.
And that
lots
means
of
you're an
elves
elf
that
now?
are within.
You're
I mean,
not going to
not
learn Magic
personally.
the Gathering in one podcast episode. I'm sorry,
else?
honey.
We'll
We'll take
that's
this
the sickest
offline.
picture I've
We'll
heard
take this
about
offline. Yeah.
Really? As soon as
Yeah.
elves came in, you were
Well,
on
you
board.
could be a
There's
vampire or an elf or
dragons.
whatever. I think that's sick.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to play red, there's lots of dragons.
There's,
If you
like,
want to
20
play
years of
light,
lore
there's lots
behind
of
it,
like
too.
paladins and knights.
No, I don't like
and-
paladins. Are boring.
Well, then you don't want to
But-
play white.
Go
I
back
wanna
to
be a
elves.
vampire.
He
That
was
was
loving
sick.
the elves.
Yeah,
and
well,
I
a
liked
black-white combo deck is called Orzhov, is the color shard, and
What?
Color
Are you
pairs.
You're going
It's like
real
three.
deep. You're going real deep.
It's a completely
You're
different language.
confusing me.
Oh my God.
well,
Okay.
you know, you
Well,
brought us here to talk
we
about
can get to
nerd
Jargon
shit.
Town.
No,
And
I want
that's
to know.
shit they don't tell
Yeah,
you.
but they gotta.
don't.
It's like
They don't tell you got elves
It's like
and
I'm in Spanish
magic.
class and the lady's going like level 4 Spanish on me,
Sí, es muy importante
Exactly.
que puedes usar todos los colores.
and I'm like, I know Todos.
I heard color.
Not a good idea to play all the colors.
See, I don't know. See, this is what the show's gonna be today.
Oh, what if
These
you
two
That
got
last-
wasn't
Nickel
Spanish. That
Book?
was just magic talk.
Well, speaking of a bunch of nerds,
True.
how did you get into that field of like tabletop gaming?
Jake?
Me first? Yeah, sure. Well, I kind of wandered into it. I used to direct children's theater, as a matter of fact. But I was always like a gamer on the side, and I played Magic as a kid in like 3rd grade, and Dungeons and Dragons as well. And then when I moved here to Los Angeles about 3 years ago, one of the opportunities to get kind of in the film industry was at Geek and Sundry and Nerdist, as a matter of fact. And there was a show called How to Play, where a guy named Ivan Van Norman taught people how to play some of the more complicated board games that you might see. So some of the ones we'd be describing, they make like a 5-minute video. I just PA'd on that set for a while and offered to help him write some of the scripts one day. And he said yes. And then he hired me to write them. And then I got hired to produce. And then I got hired to direct. And now I direct and write all the scripts with Becca, who's the host for it now. That's
wow.
kind of how I just wandered into it. But because I loved games already, it was kind of a natural fit. So I was right place, right time.
So that's what would happen if I didn't say buzz off PA all the time.
Correct.
'Cause I have
Your
a PA,
PA
say
will-
something to me, and I'm always like, "Hey, buzz off, PA."
Yeah. He'll take your job.
You mean Nate?
Exactly.
Does he like negging? Is that a thing
What is
Nate's
that one?
into?
What's
Negging? This is like a
Is there a game?
oh god,
think
it's like a horrible premise that to pick up women, you need to tell them negative comments.
Oh, I've heard of this.
yeah.
That's
I
a great
have
one.
heard of
I
it.
love
no,
all that shit.
No, it didn't work on Nate, the PA, and it doesn't work on any woman ever in
Right.
history.
But these guys are breaking down the psychology of the female mind, right?
Well, they're breaking people
I
down.
want to
for
break
sure.
down their a lot of things.
But they really do think they have an in, which is the
They're
magic
so
of
Yes.
stupid.
Oh
I
my
love
god!
watching those
Here's the thing
videos.
about the female mind. It can be any fucking thing that a man's mind
No,
can
no,
be.
you want to be
They're all
treated like
different.
shit. That's why you only go for terrible guys.
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
to
And
start
that's why
on
and
you
then you
don't
marry
go for
them.
me.
Oh,
Right? That's the
terrible.
whole thing.
Yeah, but
yeah.
And then who's got the hot wife now? Bitches, what?
Yep.
And bitches being the
No, I
whoever
did.
wrote that book about nagging being a good idea. What were
And
we talking
peacocking,
about?
I love all that too.
We
We'll
were
get
talking
into
about
it.
how
Games.
we got into
Oh,
tabletop
yeah.
But
gaming.
anyway, I think
got an origin.
I did directing, so I kind of walked into it, and I loved games, so it was like a great fit. And
Yeah.
you were the same way. Like you liked it
Well, yeah.
personally, right?
My origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So, where to start?
Oh boy.
I'm an actor, and I've been doing that forever. And I just love to casually game. Played a bunch of video games growing up. Just was doing that on the side as I was here. I was a PA. Everybody told me to buzz off, and I said, "Here's my resume. Here's my headshot." And they were like, "Okay, PA, buzz off." And I produced something for Geek and Sundry, and they were launching their Twitch channel at the time. And I kind of got in there and proposed doing a board game show that I co-hosted with Ivan, who Jake was mentioning, and we did that show on Twitch for a long time, and it just sort of evolved from there and got deeper and deeper into the world. And I'm just so grateful to Geek and Sundry for giving me a chance to.
I think that's such a
get
great
into it.
life lesson because these are both things that you're passionate about, right? You're acting and you're directing, and you both love gaming. And the way you got into the field was by one, like stepping up and being like, here's something I propose, and like not just sitting in the background all day. And then two, persistency.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, my philosophy has been, which I'm trying to revise now, but at a certain point, you want to say yes to every opportunity
Yes.
because you never know what it's going to lead to, who
You're going to meet.
Exactly.
The connections, all of that's so important. Say yes to everything in the beginning. Don't be a snob. But
and then learn how to say no.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Key. Very
Very
key.
key.
And
When you
so
get
working
enough
on that
stuff
one.
to do, yeah. Oh yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I honestly like, there's so much I want to do, and I'm like so excited about so many different things, and I don't have enough time. I always forget about the whole time thing, and
Yeah.
how there's like not that much of it. So
It's
that
good to
whole
go back
thing.
and forth between saying yes to a lot and saying no, because like it depends on where you are and what you are trying to expand to. There's a there's a number of events this weekend I'm gonna have to say yes to, and I think I will be better for it. I
Yeah.
just don't want to right now.
You know what I can't believe legitly is that hot people play D&D now. Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons.
I know.
Because when I was a kid, like that shit was for like the nerdiest nerds. Like Harry Knowles was on the fucking flag of those, that game. You know what I mean? Like that was what you pictured.
Yeah.
The big fat dudes in sunglasses and glasses and curly hair.
We
and
just
shit.
rewatched Wet Hot American Summer. We had a backyard movie night, and there
love
is
that
a
movie.
scene where this nerdy kid with the cape and glasses goes to the cute girl's table. He's like, "Hello, ladies. Would anyone like to play Dungeons and Dragons this afternoon?"
Right.
And then everyone who was in our backyard, like 30 people, were all like, "Yeah!"
Yeah, we were all
They
into
all
that.
play D&D.
Yeah.
And dude, you go back even like, I don't know, that's Wet Hot American Summer. You go back 10 years before that, 15 years before that. I remember being in school having X-Men stuff and kids making fun of me for it.
Sure.
Aw.
Like, and now like that's some of the, well, till the most recent movie, those are some of the highest earning movies ever.
Yeah.
Like all these Marvel movies and shit. Like, where do you think the culture started
shifted.
to shift?
Yeah.
Ooh, I got
Towards the
thoughts.
nerds.
I got thoughts. You inhale deeply.
First, good noticing. I mean, my first guess is kind of that Generation X, which is a little before us, grew up, and they were into that too. Like they were the kids that saw. Maybe not all saw Star Wars in the theater, but they saw Empire Strikes Back in the theater. So even if they weren't huge like space nerds, everybody loved Star Wars of that generation, right? So when they grew up and they got into the positions of power, they started making sure that nostalgia came back full force.
Nerds will someday
Yeah.
rule the world.
I mean, that was around the
Did.
time Episode 1 really started coming out. And I mean, say what you will about Episode 1, but it did revive that whole thing as
Everyone
a
saw it.
widespread thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Best
I mean, Star
movie
Wars came
ever,
back with
right?
a force.
Oh, yeah.
But no pun intended.
We're gonna keep that in. We're not cutting it.
I mean, that's my guess. Marvel was the same way. Like we were made fun of for liking superheroes, but like the kids right before us still loved them secretly as well, and then they grew up and then started making the movies.
Right.
I think it's generational.
right. Love that theory.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh,
my
by the way,
theory-
Jake was a like nerd.
Oh, he
growing
played
up.
football. Quote unquote.
Oh, you did?
I was but when she says football, that's code for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
I didn't play
okay,
football.
okay, gotcha,
Your exact
gotcha.
reason was like what you said about what you thought about kids that played it. The reason I didn't tell people was because of that same
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah.
I was terrified of letting people know because I didn't want to get picked on.
It's
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
part of a cult and everyone's like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
or
you're in
just
Scientology or something.
You're so worried about being cool and you know that's uncool. It's just the label alone you're worried about getting.
Yeah, yeah.
for sure.
And then Becca was a popular girl.
I was really into website design and playing Manhunt on my PS2 in the basement,
So you
and
were
making
always
my
boring.
friends watch me.
You're jealous.
I know.
I've always liked nerdy pursuits, and no one ever made fun of me for that.
What is Manhunt?
Oh, it was a
I've
game
heard
where
of
you
that.
murder people with piano wire. You have to sneak up on them.
That's like Hitman. I played Hitman.
Yeah.
But it's innocent people.
No, they're all
Just murder.
thugs.
Okay.
No, 'cause
No,
I
I
know
had-
a lot of people in Hollywood now who are like the prototypical hot people.
Ooh, I know people in
know what I'm saying?
Hollywood.
Yeah, I
Name
do.
drop.
I'm very well known. No. And these people, they can't get the same work that they used to be able to get, because now like the Seth Rogans and all those guys are like the leading men, and then these guys like slid down the cliff, and they're always like, who's that guy in Beauty and the Beast? The Gastons, you know what I mean? Like they're the
Yeah.
dicks now.
Yeah.
Well-
Like the James Marsden, that guy gets shit on in every fucking movie he's in.
Yeah, he's always like the bad guy, dickhead.
That's still the
Always.
role, though. That's still working.
Sure, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
It just
be the
used to be
knight
vice
in
versa.
shining armor anymore. Being super attractive,
Listen,
we're popping the bubble.
That's
you know
right.
the bubble from 30 Rock?
the boring nerd people have inherited the earth. That's why the prototypically boring.
Brilliant
back in the
people.
day-
Brilliant people. It's
Hey,
about brains.
I'm with you, but I'm talking about the way that we were perceived as children.
Oh, so you are one of us.
Oh yes.
Okay, great.
I used to
He's
play.
a comic book nerd.
Oh yeah, I used to do comic
But he
books.
tried to play
Don't you see
basketball
their
for a little bit.
logo?
Yeah, always tall. He gets.
I used to do what the fuck is that game? I did Pokemon cards.
Sure.
But I
yeah.
didn't
yeah.
never play it because I was like,
Yeah, you never played the actual
I don't
game.
understand.
Part of it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he
I
likes
should've brought you some Magic
nerd
cards.
culture, but he just didn't understand how to play the games
Yeah, I
all
had
the
no
way.
idea.
Maybe you haven't had the right ambassador. I bet you would
Yeah.
like a lot of this stuff if you got into it, slowly and dipped your toes
hey,
in.
I
you
think
need
that
a mentor, a nerd mentor.
I think that Settlers of Catan thing is cool as hell.
Why?
cool as
What
hell.
is it about it that excites you?
It's strategy, and I like that.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, you mean
exactly.
pure luck? Fuck those dice.
Wait, you don't like that shit?
Well,
No, it depends on the playthrough.
it's a very good game. That being said, we are such snobs about this world now that we know the better versions of it.
How
So-
do you feel about Mario Party?
I like Mario Party.
You think it's luck or strategy?
It's
Look,
both. It depends on the
and
mechanics.
how fast you can hit A and B
Yeah.
in rapid succession, right?
Absolutely. All right, I have theories though about why now.
Please.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Gen Z, they're on their screens all the time. Back in the day, parents were like,
Play
sign
sports.
up for sports. Exactly. Go out. Like be social. Or like do cool hip kid things.
Oh, we didn't have like little pocket computers.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one, video games are cool because of the prevalence of screens, because of the evolution of the technology, that gaming is so immersive when it's on a screen that just it sucks kids in and they get very addicted. It is built to addict all of us. And then that is leading to why things like D&D and tabletop games are gaining so much popularity, is because when do you actually get to see your friends face to face? Like, what do you do when you're together to keep yourself from looking down at your phones? You role play as wizards and clerics and paladins and
Not paladins though.
yeah, no fuck
Elves.
paladins.
Okay, thank you.
Vampires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
elves are really
Those
good.
are
Yeah,
both
that's
in there.
cool.
I'm a little chaotic evil, so
Okay.
I'm
That's
with
true.
you,
We
yeah.
like to get drunk and play Jackbox games.
We
Hell
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Xbox is great.
Yeah.
Now
absolutely.
that is a brilliant game because it fuses the two worlds of being social and being on your phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I think we're friends with mostly like nerdy people that love
Oh, yeah.
games. We just all get hyped for like playing games. I just don't like to drink and then not have anything to do. Like
Yeah,
I'm
need
like,
activity.
You know,
Yeah.
I also explain games as like we don't always sit down to just play the game. I also sit down to hang out with 3 other people that I really like too, because most of those games
Only 3?
we have. Well, in a
I had to
four-person
point
game,
it out.
well,
only those
Okay,
3
okay, I
games.
gotcha, I gotcha.
damn, we're not all popular. Jeez,
I
Yeah.
reorganized
Steve.
my game shelf as number of player games maximum. So the middle shelf is like all the party games you can play with 6 to 12 people, and those get the most use because sometimes you'll say, hey, we're having a game night, and too many people show up. The bottom shelf is a lot of really beautiful games. I've like play tested them, looked at them, and a lot of them are still in shrink wrap because they're max 4 players. There's so many really good 4-player and 2 to 4 player games that
Dang.
it's hard to find that number.
the struggle.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard.
I'm so glad for them though, because I have genuinely way more fun playing board games with friends than I do like a video game or any of that
For
shit.
sure.
Totally.
And,
Way more fun.
and that leads into, so your theory is that like the board game resurgent a little bit is because of screens being so prevalent? Is that what you're saying?
It's our rebellion against screens.
Yeah.
Is like, go out, play with your friends, play D&D, whatever. Just look at each other in the face.
We get different kind of like stimulation from the tactile response of moving things than we do for clicking a little bit.
That's true.
And there is like a different itch in our brain that we need to scratch, and I think
Yeah.
that's super valuable.
Yeah, we also are ready to admit now that we like to play with toys.
Yeah.
that's
Whoa,
that's
whoa,
true.
I'm not
That's
there.
all D&D
I'm not there yet.
minis
I'm a
are.
nerd too, but come on, bro.
You're not gonna paint your mini?
What kind of are you talking about? You paint miniatures, like your little
No,
train set.
I must admit that I am
your
not
little elf.
patient enough to paint.
No, me neither.
minis.
But
Yeah.
you're like your little elf vampire warlord.
Oh, that'd
But
be
yeah,
cool.
if it was
Oh,
a
yeah, I'd
character I
paint that.
played all the time, I would paint just one
Same.
little guy because they come unpainted. You can go to no
Michaels?
plug, they're not my sponsor. HeroForge.com is a really cool website where sometimes I'll just go there if I want to kind of like come up with a character that is in this mystical world for a one-time use kind of thing. I'll just make a picture of, because I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
And you can design a little miniature. You can make one
They
of
design
you.
they design 3D models that you can customize, and then you can actually have them printed for you
They
and
3D print it.
shipped to you.
Oh,
This
wow.
is like a whole different culture than I've ever experienced. Like
Same.
it's
We've
like
got so much information.
I feel like
for
I've
you.
tiptoed on the surface of like, oh yeah, I play games. I like games. I'm competitive. I like them. I
Yeah.
played quite a few games, but I just have never heard this much detail about the culture of gaming, like down to
Nikki,
the
we
like.
see your untapped potential.
If this was a meeting about bondage, sexual bondage,
Go
I think
on.
we are traipsing near my limits.
Okay, your safe word is what?
Not toys. I hear toys and I'm like, yo, I'm out.
I like toys. I like too many things. I think that's
But
that goes back
That's
to
sex
that.
toys.
What scares you about
The
toys?
physical action of playing with little dolls.
I can't get
Action
into it.
figures.
I can't get into
Yeah,
it.
but what if those action figures had a game around them?
I love it.
My interest is piqued.
Have you
Continue.
heard of Funko dolls?
Yes, I have.
So Funko dolls, they're pretty big. Funko just came out. There was this big release at the convention 2 weeks ago, Gen Con in Indianapolis, and we got an advanced copy of it, but I think it was their premiere, or it was a big hit of the convention. They kind of shrunk down a Funko doll, and you can play these little battle games with Funko dolls on a map, and it can be different scenarios of kind of capture the flag style or like King of the Hill style. And the best part is, Funko is known for making a doll version of any character you like or political
Yes,
figure
the pop
or whatever.
ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So,
I heard that.
so they made the Golden Girls. They made Rick and Morty, Harry
Love Rick and
Potter,
Morty.
DC Universe, and all of them can fight each other.
but they don't even look like them. They look like something else. It looks like an alien.
That's kind of the point. Is like it's kind of like a Simpsons version or whatever. I mean, that's an example of
Right.
that character.
Like a very
Cartoonized.
specific style.
Correct.
Yeah.
All I know is I just heard Loot Crate went out of business. And
What?
That's what I heard.
I didn't hear
On
that.
your way in here,
Wait,
just
my
are you
God.
sure?
Yeah,
Maybe
they
I'm
used to
wrong.
have a team up.
Yeah,
and I
because
was like, dang, Funko is fucked.
honestly,
Well,
they
that's
just
the thing
messaged
about-
me.
Oh, really? Oh,
You're
never
the
mind.
perfect gift.
I'm
You don't
wrong.
know what to get someone? What are they like? Get
Yeah.
that Funko.
Yeah.
I will say the
Get that
difference between
Funko.
board
Get that
games and
Funko.
toys is the toys are kind of like a little bit more of a collectible thing, as opposed to you don't really do as much with them, as
That makes
opposed to
sense.
display them. Whereas a lot of the things that we play with are meant to play
Mm-hmm.
with.
I'm cool with that.
But I
Yeah.
think, as a guest on our podcast pointed out, Scott Rogers, it's all a veiled attempt to hide an adult's desire to play with toys.
Yeah. No,
In a way.
I thoroughly think, okay, so I feel like we're all kids, right? And then as we go through life, the more that we buy into this whole like concept of what an adult should be, the
Lame.
more like layers get put on, and you're like, oh, I'm an adult. I need to go to jobs. I need to go dress up and career, and I
Khaki
need to start a
pants, button
family,
up.
and I need to be a mother, and mothers don't do this, and and you get so like in your head about like building this version of you that is the adult version, but I think deep down everyone just wants to play.
Yeah.
And I feel like in at least our industry and like the entertainment industry and art in general, we don't really lose that play. Like we're more connected to it because we're like we never went the traditional route.
Yeah.
And
You're
but
rewarded for playing all day long.
Yeah, and I think that's some shit that they don't tell you is that you really don't have to lose that playful side of you just because your age says you're an adult now. And a lot of these games are strategy and like they're challenging those parts of your brain, the analytical side, the logical side, all those adult things that you really want to, or you're really proud of having. You don't have to lose that just by playing a game. You can indulge both sides, and I really like that.
No, that's so true. Play is so important for like a healthy mindset as well. And I totally agree about the layers that we put up. But like getting in a play mode is hard for a lot of people, especially who are so busy. And that's why board games are a pretty good opportunity for that, because like as we were saying, is you get into this kind of role more or less that you having this competition. I mean, you guys did improv, right? We talked about that. Well, there's kind of the faux competition of improv too, a little bit, where you guys are always agreeing with each other's idea, but there's always a little bit of like we're trying to do our best and we're trying to kind of fuck with each other a little bit as well, right? But that adrenaline that comes from that's the competition that we get in the board games as well. And if we're in that play zone, that's the only time to be creative in your life.
Yeah, and it's a time to be shitty as a person. So you're in a deception game, right? And like in my normal life, I don't lie, I don't steal, I don't cheat, I like live very honest, I have high integrity. But if you're in like Secret Hitler and you're fucking Hitler and you have to convince everybody that you're not Hitler, you have to lie, you gotta cheat, you gotta steal, you gotta bluff, you gotta evoke emotions,
emotional angles.
And like that part's really fun for me. And that's the part that
you're
was
allowed to break rules.
Yes, you're allowed.
Rules are, but even though we're in a rule-based game, you're allowed to break the social rules.
Yes,
that's such freedom.
That's why we always like that show Survivor, man. That show's fun.
The show
Survivor.
You never
Survivor
seen
still
CBS?
on?
It
Oh
is.
yeah, dude.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
like
it'll never
25
end.
seasons or some shit. Isn't that crazy?
No, more than that.
Wait,
like
what do you
30
like about-
something.
What do you like
It's
about
the same
Survivor?
shit as tabletop games, but what we're talking about with deception games, it's like it's all that deception, backstabbing,
Alliances. Yeah.
I swear on my children, a lot of that
They
shit.
vote people off the island, there's like all the political backstabbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
all
right,
that.
it's voting.
Yeah, there's challenges, but then
it's
there's
the same
also it's like
game.
social
Same
and
shit.
then also challenges.
And then
like
at the bitter end, you have to everyone you fucked over, you have to get them to vote for you somehow.
It actually, Survivor is honestly a big board game, but people are the pieces.
That's
Yes.
it.
Like it
Yeah.
really is
It's
what
genius.
it is.
Because it's
Different
like
challenges.
oh
Man,
people
maybe I
weigh
should
in.
go on Survivor. That sounds
You should.
awesome.
You get really skinny too, so I was thinking about it for that option, you
Yeah,
know. But
that's
I
true.
also
Everyone
love
gets-
physical competition. I don't shy away.
yeah,
There
so
you
people
go.
are like, well, they have to balance out like how much do they bring to the table with games, and then how much do they bring to the table with social and surviving and like building the sheds and like finding food and stuff like that.
I'd be so good at this.
You
gotta
You
go.
should
I
try.
really
Go
in my
against it. You can
application.
vote out week 1 after talking all this shit.
They wouldn't do that.
On that note, we're gonna go on our first break.
Wow.
And we will be right back. Hopefully we survive. Okay, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Everlywell. And Everlywell will test you for food sensitivities and food allergies. And I cannot tell you how much I needed this. Like a few years ago, I was really struggling with health issues, and I've talked about them before. And like, I ended up having SIBO and stuff. But I also have sensitivities to certain foods that I just didn't know I was sensitive to. So with Everlywell, they offer more than 35 at-home lab tests, from food sensitivity to thyroid to STD and heart health tests, so that you can find out like what the hell is wrong with you. Because sometimes when you go on Google, they'll give you a lot of answers for the symptoms that you type in.
They'll tell you what's wrong with you, and you're like, wait, is that actually wrong with me though?
Yeah. So this is like an at-home lab test that you can actually take. Oh, and by the way, like it's really expensive to do it go through the doctor's lab, because depending on your healthcare insurance, it can be very pricey.
Yes.
But these are at-home tests, and each Everlywell collection kit comes with super easy to follow instructions. You collect your samples from home on your own time, and then once you send your sample back, it's processed in a certified lab, so it's like no different than what the doctor sends in, right? And your results are reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then they are sent directly to you digitally within just days. You can even share them with your healthcare provider. The Everlywell digital platform helps break down exactly what your results mean for you, so they, let you know if you're this is like a high allergy or high sensitivity to shrimp or whatever it
You can
is.
finally get some answers, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people got a lot of questions, but no answers.
Plus, you can set up a free discussion with a healthcare professional directly through the Everlywell platform. So you can talk to a person if you don't have a person to talk to. So to start learning more about your health, like I did, check out Everlywell at-home lab test today. And for 15% off an Everlywell at-home lab test, visit everlywell.com/STDTY and enter code STDTY. That's everlywell.com/STDTY.
STDTY, like
With the code STD.
They don't tell you.
Yeah, not STDs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure. But if you do have an STD, you will find out through this test.
So everlywell.com/STDTY, code STDTY for 15% off of your test. Your answers, your way. And we're back. Hello, welcome back. We have Becca and Jake, and we're continuing to talk about nerd culture. And I have some theories, too, about how nerd culture became main culture. And I haven't like analyzed it and like come up with a complete theory or anything like that. But I noticed
We'll do that for you. We'll analyze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So when I was in high school, I was like punk rock and stuff, but I also I don't know if I hid it, but I was an internet nerd. Like I was completely like message boards and like nerd culture, like all the LOLs and IMs and all the things that became probably like Reddit and 4chan now. Like back then we had our like forum lingo and all that stuff, and we had avatars, and there were like inter-message board relationships. Like
What sites are you talking about? Are you talking about like
I don't know if I
Messenger,
want to say
MySpace? Like what?
like
M&M
the
message
M&M
board.
message. This is way before MySpace. I am
M&M
86, born in 86, and
M&M
so
fans.
yeah, I was an M&M message board
Okay.
moderator.
What do you call an Eminem fan? Like, like a Bieber.
No,
Called
we don't.
Stans.
Oh yeah, Stans. That
yeah,
now.
Stans, that's right.
Stan.
But the song Stan came out while I had been a moderator for like 3 years by that point.
We have a $500 brick at home that was from his childhood house.
It was, you change the price every
dirty
time.
fucking brick.
It goes up every
First
year.
of all-
Whatever. What was it?
It does.
400?
It appreciates.
Well,
What
if
was
you
it?
don't talk about it, how is anybody going to buy it?
First of all,
You
it
gotta
was
build a hype.
$375.
Okay,
It went
sorry.
towards the Detroit Housing Project. Also,
awesome.
I got a case around it, and I got the package
brick.
that came with the dog tag and the 2 original Marshall Mathers LP deck tapes and a Slim Shady LP. Thank you very much.
When one
It
of
was-
I'm
your
very
fans
impressed.
gets
On
this for
Sentiment.
$300 one year, you're gonna be thankful.
Good point.
except for like 5 other podcasts hear this.
And also, you hear that?
Yeah.
Not the same density.
It's like a fake version of it. But yeah, so I was an internet nerd. I would spend my lunches in the library checking the forums, like moderating, kicking people out, banning people, talking shit, like doing all that
Oh.
stuff.
A keyboard jockey, like you were
Yeah.
actually like throwing commands out.
Yeah,
and
you
shit.
didn't mess around.
Oh yeah. I would
Okay.
ban people. We had a voice chat room, which was really high tech at the time.
Whoa. Still high tech.
Yeah, it was very cool. And
Okay,
then I would
yeah.
go home and I would be on IM with people like that were other nerds from school. Like I wouldn't say friends, because we didn't talk to each other at school, but we would talk to each other on AIM. And then I would go moderate, and I would be on the computer for a total of 11 hours per day. Like on average, and sometimes I wouldn't sleep and stuff like that. I would just like be on there all night.
Dang.
And I think there was a lot of like internet nerd stuff, like I don't know if you guys remember Homestar Runner.
Yes.
Like that kind of
E-Bombs
stuff.
World and all that?
Yeah, E-Bombs
Sure.
World, and so like a lot
So
of.
did you have high-speed internet early in your life too? Like
No, you gotta
early.
wait for
like
that.
we had dial-up, and then we had cable was the first thing that came out. The cable and DSL came out at the same time. But I was back in the day where you like if you picked up the phone,
Yeah.
then it ruined the internet, and like that's how I
Yeah.
would get caught a
my
couple times.
StarCraft game was gone. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude. I played a game called EverQuest during that time.
Yeah.
I was playing The Sims religiously.
Oh yeah, the
all the
Sims.
expansions. Yeah.
So what's your
Okay,
theory?
so-
then?
That's still around.
So
I'm so-
internet.
Yeah, you built that mountain up. What's I gotta
we're
know.
climbing it. We're climbing it.
Get
Okay,
up there,
okay.
okay?
Holy
The mountain's still
hell.
being built. It's
Okay.
like Game of Thrones, where I'm going to build it up
Jesus.
for getting 8 seasons and then,
then
Nice.
throw it
Right.
away. You're like,
Yeah.
so that's my theory.
The view up here is gonna be great. I'm excited.
So I internet nerd, but I was not a comic book nerd. I was not a Dungeons and Dragons nerd. There's a different nerd groups, right? And I think with the internet and social media and there being screens everywhere, I think all those nerd groups kind of came together. So like for example, you mentioned Rick and Morty earlier. I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan. Oh yeah. I don't know anything about the game of Magic, but like I imagine those groups of people being in the same forum at some times or at some point, or playing the same like common denominator games that they relate on, just because there's so many games and there's so many things, and I think all nerds are attracted to like some things, like certain common ground.
I think
It's
to
connected them all.
elaborate this argument, we should define the term nerd, which
Yeah.
to me just means you are unabashedly obsessed with something.
Yes.
Whatever it is. You could be a horse nerd if you're very into
True.
equine things. You know, you could be a nerd about anything. It's just the unabashed love of that thing. You just, and I think what you were talking about being an adult and pushing down that playful side of you is something that we're all conditioned to do in high school is let me have a hard exterior so no one can hurt me, and then part of that is not showing that you love anything or you care about anything too much because that's not cool.
Yeah.
And so
Very
being
true.
a nerd is being unabashedly able to express, oh my God, I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
And
something.
valuing that more than fitting into the popular culture at the time.
Yeah.
And I think what ended up
Except
happening.
for sports for some reason.
Sure,
I love
sure,
sports.
yeah. I think what ended up happening is like when that web was built, we realized that like, oh, a lot more people are into these things than the actual popular people, quote unquote. So then I think that's what made the shift for it to become like this niche thing to being like popular thing when everyone realized like, yeah, it's okay to like be obsessed.
Yeah.
Unabashedly.
I'm a Star Wars fan.
Get out.
Are there limits to fandom? Does it ever get taken too far?
We
in your opinion?
interviewed a fanthropologist on
Yeah.
Victory Points.
I had a tough time getting her to tell us if it goes too
Yeah,
far.
when is it a
little
cult?
bit. Yeah, well, that's why I said is there a line where it actually is unhealthy behavior, and I think that can go with any obsession.
Professional lightsaber
What about professional lightsaber battling?
battle.
No, I think that's badass.
That's awesome. That's
What are you
super
talking-
cool. Have you done
like,
that?
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Have you done
well,
that?
no,
You think it's badass?
I mean,
He's a bully now.
try.
No offense. I just if you've done
Depends
it,
how much
it's fine.
you...
When I
But
say
badass
when
is
I
not the
say
word I
when
kid
I
who was
say-
like a meme, he was probably having a good time.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I would
Guys
say he
like
looks
guys
particularly cool.
I will
I'm a fan.
say, like, look at the skill involved and look at what some of them can do. Like, that is a translatable skill for a lot of other things in their life in terms of gymnastics and martial arts as well.
My man, I'm with you.
Okay.
But the visual
Yeah, I guess it
Yeah, the
depends.
visual-
aspect and
If
holding
you're
the
super
lightsaber.
buff, you look cool doing that,
Sure,
okay?
you could. But the thing that it makes the sounds and you hold it.
Yes.
And you
How does it
look
make you
serious.
feel? Because he's having a great time.
Yeah.
When I watch them do it, though, I'm like, oh,
It hurts
no,
you?
This
Are you
shouldn't
jealous?
happen.
Steve is like, unabashedly be obsessed with something, but not that obsessed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Excuse
I think it can go too
me.
far.
Sweet.
No.
Yeah.
Like for example,
You're
I went
yucking
to
someone's yum.
I went to
Yeah.
a
There you
Harry
go.
Potter Quidditch thing years ago, and I just.
yeah.
I couldn't.
You're too
not
could
think
now.
it was funny
So
to me.
you're
I
too
could not
cool
think it was
now.
funny. No. When it goes too far, is all I'm
You're too
saying.
cool.
Somebody
But
wearing a robe, walking around like in Harry Potter is one thing.
I did a College of Wizardry LARP in Poland in a castle for 3 days.
Now, what's
would've bullied
too-
you.
We went
I
to
agree.
classes. We had
You went to
real
Harry Potter
drama.
classes?
They had to change the name for legal reasons.
Oh, okay.
So it was College of Wizardry.
Okay.
But you guys had
they passed
drama,
out
like-
robes.
yeah.
We
You guys
each
had, like,
brought our
fights with
wand.
the-
We developed characters ahead of time. It was like. A LARP is a live action role play, so
Yes.
it's basically like D&D on your feet.
Yes.
You don't have a stat sheet with you. You just kind of wrote out this character and you play someone else.
You throw lima beans at somebody and you yell lightning bolt.
Yeah, you do yell nonsense, made up Latin words.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And point
I-
a wand at someone.
I'm with you. I wouldn't probably ever do that
Yes,
in my
you would.
life.
It was really
But-
fun.
Well, but here's what I'm saying is
Katie
I'm
would.
open to how fun that could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I probably it's not for me, but like I don't understand what it is too far about it.
I would say
just for me.
too far
Okay,
in
okay.
my definition is when people actually get emotional and hurt and angry and like it becomes more
They don't
like
know the line.
more toxic than it
Sure.
does like joy
You're
and like
right.
fun.
Yeah.
That's when I think is too far.
I actu-
so as long as people are having fun.
That's a good
to
line.
follow, I should be completely explicit about this LARP. I had the best time, but also I approached it from a comedic point of view
Okay.
and there were a lot of people. It was an international crowd, and there were a lot of people that took it way too seriously and wanted to be like a hardcore Slytherin. And I didn't understand what that community was because it was my first time, and I would go back to my room at night and cry because people bullied me because
Oh my God.
I chose like a Neville Longbottom type of character, and I talk like this. I had, like,
And of
these
course they're
goofy
gonna eat that
glasses
up.
and a funny dragon on my shoulder, and I was like, "That's my pet. Say hello to her." They didn't like that because that wasn't taking what they take very seriously enough. Even though I was committed.
Yeah, you were
my
having
God.
fun.
Yeah, I was having a really good time, and some people will come up to me and be like, you know, their character would become friends with my character because they thought it was fun, and other people would choose like, oh, they have chosen to be a low status character, and therefore they are allowing me to bully them, and I will do that. And I didn't understand. So in that regard, I would go back and I would yell to my husband, like, what's fucking wrong with these people? Why are they being so mean to me? Because I was not understanding the level of seriousness with which they took it.
Dude,
but now I know. Now I know.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, if you were yelling
Play
at
a
your
high
husband,
status character.
if you were yelling at your husband in character, crying about it, then I'd say you took it too far. Yeah.
So we chose an off-game room to sleep in, but there were on-game rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you had to stay in character the whole time?
I mean, you would choose to, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there are
I didn't
people
know
that this
that
is what
part
they
of it.
do,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
No, people do that. I think I've watched several like documentary type things where they had people role play as like prison guards, and then some people would be prisoners, and the prison guard characters would start
Stanford
actually
prison
getting,
experiment?
yeah, they would
Yes.
they would start getting this like power trip and like start treating people like actual subhuman people, and then they reversed it and the same thing happened, and it was like a documentary about how evil could live in everybody. And then like my grandma was an extra, a professional extra, like she just would go to set and like be a lawyer one day and then be like a doctor another day, but she noticed that if you were cast as an extra as like a doctor, and then someone else was a patient, or vice versa, if you're cast as a patient and they're a doctor, they would treat you like a lower status person,
Yeah.
even though you're all extras.
Yeah.
For sure. There is a social
Big
hierarchy
show.
that we all sort of like step into line unknowingly.
Yeah.
Like if I had to be a PA on set, I'm sure people would treat me in a way that I am not used to being
I know I would.
treated anymore. Those are days long
Animals.
gone.
They're animals.
Yeah. But I did hear, and my favorite, I have many passions, one of which is talking about universal basic income.
There it is.
Yeah.
42 minutes. I was wondering when it was going to
Yeah, 42. That's how long it took.
That's the best way to play board games all day.
But actually, I wanted to bring it up because I recently heard from one of my favorite authors, this historian from the Netherlands named Rutger Bregman, and wrote a great book called Utopia for Realists. He says that there is some research that says that evidence of the Stanford prison experiment was kind of fudged. Like
really?
They exaggerated it as in science to get published. A lot of times
Somebody
people
fudged a study?
the
They
study.
didn't they kind of encourage
disappointing.
a little of the behavior
Yes,
a little bit?
they were
yeah.
like, "Oh, don't you want to push them, or don't
The
you want to?"
foundations of it are still valid, as you
Yes.
pointed out in the documentary too, because it's really as simple as just power corrupts, right? And
Yeah.
we even do it in board games a little. Like when someone's in the lead and knows it, like
Yes.
everybody fucking hates them.
Yes, and we try to team up and destroy them. all
Yeah,
that
and
stuff.
they also like kind of they should be swinging their like power around a little bit in that situation, and they do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Bregman's point that he's writing a new book about, and I'm very excited about, is
Plug it.
people will live up to what you expect them to do. So if you expect someone to be shitty to you, they'll probably be shitty. If you treat them like you expect them to be very kind to you, then they're going to reconsider. They're gonna take that into consideration when they act a little bit.
Interesting.
Framing is super key for that. Yeah, I agree.
You know,
never
that's why you
considered
treat
that.
people the way you want to be treated. And people, if you think people can't handle universal basic income because they're lazy, that's you having an expectation of it. If you expect people to really take something that they're given and run with it and do well with it, then they're going to try and live up to that what they is expected of them.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, what if everybody had Lamborghinis? Then having a Lamborghini is not fun anymore. You know,
Why
what I mean?
not?
Excellent
That's
It
the
ruins it.
You gotta be a
Everybody
little
has
special.
iPhones. They're
Right,
still
I got-
pretty cool.
I gotta look over to see like a Honda Accord.
Ooh, not everyone can have a homemade cardboard car. I made my car out of cardboard.
I'm jealous.
I don't know.
See, if
Lamborghini's
everybody
pretty cool.
can have a Lamborghini, then cardboard cars are going to be in.
No, I'll still be in a Lamborghini and I'll look at you in a cardboard car and I'll laugh. I'll laugh very hard.
He's a bully. You know, one time he trolled this simulation game where you talk about people taking games too seriously, but also I think it was kind of mean. I don't know. I see both sides.
Wait, what did I do?
We
What is
ruined
this
the
game?
wedding.
I did a lot of trolls.
Go ahead.
It was a
Oh,
wedding?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a game called Star Wars Galaxies, and inside of this video game, two people were getting married in the game.
Beautiful.
And so I role played with my brother. We went to the wedding. I was like 15 years old or 13. We went to the wedding.
Where
and
everyone's at their shittiest.
we're, right, and exactly, and but I still think this is pretty funny, and I'll defend it to you.
Okay.
I don't want to hear
And
this.
during the wedding, so if you didn't qualify for a certain skill, you couldn't really use a weapon well, but you could still use it. So I used that as an exploit to go to their wedding, and then I role played with my brother. I was like, "Hey, excuse me, sir, you're sitting in my seat. I just got up real quick, and you're in my seat." And then he's like, "Sir, I've been here for a while. I don't think I'm in your seat." And I was like, "You're absolutely in my seat. I need you to stand up so that I can get ready for the wedding." And then he's like, "No, sir, I will not." And then we pulled our guns as the bride's walking down the digital aisle, and we're firing at each other, but we can't do any damage. And we were rolling around, shooting rocket launchers at each other for fucking 25 minutes, and they ended up disbanding the wedding and like sending us the most hateful, like death threats, all that shit. It was fucking hilarious.
Take it back. I love this.
Thank you. It's just fun. It's just stupid
he
fun.
toes the
Well,
line.
you didn't like try and shoot them.
No,
you know? You were
that
just-
wasn't the
it was
joke.
just-
For me, the joke has to be decently constructed. It can't just be you're
Yeah,
shitty to
it's
somebody.
tangential.
That's like me going up to you and like just taking
Take
a
it, dump
ball
it
of
in my
wet
face.
paper and just hitting you in the face with it. It's not funny to me. It's got to have some kind of angle that makes it fun.
Yeah.
You did
Absolutely.
troll the Harry Potter Quidditch match. And,
did, yeah.
And called everyone virgins and stuff.
Well,
How about that?
that was fun. I mean, it was just
Well,
in that time.
were they?
This was like 2013.
Maybe.
It was fairly new.
Were
that
they
people
children?
Were playing
No.
it live. No, they were adults. And it was
No
very
judgment. I would play.
confusing to me that they were playing this in all,
Seriousness?
seriousness. Yes, with such seriousness.
Yeah.
Like you were saying about the people who take it very seriously.
Yeah, and I was captain of that Quidditch game.
I believe you. I really do. I'm just talking about the people who take it so seriously. Those are the people that I'm always like, I just want
Where they
like
get
to have a
mad.
little fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they get really angry, right? When you have a little
The
bit of
ones
fun.
that
you
were
get-
bullying you because you weren't
About
taking it
that.
seriously
Sure.
enough.
Just the people
yeah.
who take it to 120.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I'm a Star Wars fan.
So there, I mean, that exists in all cultures. That's not alien to. I mean, that's not just to tabletop. I mean, sports fans that take it way
Yes.
too
Yes.
God, yes.
seriously,
And-
and we know
Dude,
people
the
in the
Eagles
industry
won,
that take
and
their
they
jobs
lit
way
Philadelphia on fire.
too. Great point. Great fucking point. Is half the town of Philadelphia. Okay, but like that goes across all disciplines, as a matter of
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
and so we see the virgins, quote unquote, out on the field. And it's easy to pick them as like, where does that go too far? But I think everybody has an opportunity to go too far in their world.
For sure.
And by the way, I was literally talking to virgins. That was the joke. Is that they told me that they're virgins.
Yes,
That-
they said yes.
Hey,
we
nice
are.
to meet you.
It-
I'm a virgin.
No, I got it out of him in the interview though. It was one of those things where you're like, wow, okay. It was it wasn't like I'm like, hey, what's up, virgin? Like it was like,
yeah.
Let's go through your
you're
sexual
talking
history.
to somebody, yeah, exactly, and they're like, oh, I don't have a sexual history. I've done nothing so far, and you're like, oh wow, oh sorry.
Yeah, by the way,
They
you can
could
watch
be
this video
asexual, it's
on.
all right.
What were you interviewing
Check
for?
it out.
You can watch this video on his
I
channel.
used to do this thing called real life trolling on YouTube, where I trolled all manner of people. One of my most famous things. is,
Parkour people. Sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, no,
What was your most famous
everybody. I
thing?
did the Westboro Baptist Church, for
Yeah.
example. I trolled,
Oh, yeah.
trolled those guys. It was fun. Like I asked the main guy, Steve, the leader of them or whatever. I was like, hey man, I know about Leviticus. Tell me exactly why gay people can't be together. And he's like, well, God said man cannot lay with another man. Now what's so complicated about that? And I was like, well, maybe
they stand up?
maybe he wants them to do it standing up. And he,
Damn,
and he
same
didn't-
jokes.
Pretty good. And so stuff like that. Like I like to go after the people who deserve it. So one of my favorite things I did was this thing called Bang Bus Prank, where I got people who thought they were going to be on the Bang Bus, and I got real porn stars to be in it with me. And so I would use the girls. We would pick up guys, and I'm like, "Are you ready to have sex with porn stars?" Like, hell, fucking yes. They're so stoked. We go back to the van. I get them in, have them sign a release on the shit, and then I have the girls pick up camera and sound equipment, and I have two big muscly guys get in the van, and the guys immediately are like, "What the fuck's going on?" And I'm like,
You just signed a release.
no, I'm like, you're gonna
must
fuck
have
the
sex
porn
with
stars, do you? Here's the porn stars. And then they're like, what about these chicks? And it's like Bonnie Rotten, who's like one of the biggest porn stars, and like this chick Dana Diarmond, who's like a legend. And he's like, aren't these porn stars? And I'm like, no, it's just my camera and sound girl. I will say they dress unprofessionally today, like shit like that. And these guys are just literally legit scared for their mouths and their butts and stuff. So stuff like that. I like to go after the people who deserve it, just
But
people
still
who
had
take it
boners.
too far.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If I
For
can be
sure.
a top.
Though they think that, well, that's what they think too. Is that when that's part of a lot of culture too. Is I meet a porn star, therefore I can have sex with a porn star because she's a porn star. That's what she does.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
She doesn't want to do anything else but have sex all day. That's what she thinks about all day.
Yeah.
And I probably maybe if I don't give her a compliment.
Why are you
instead
gesturing at me?
Instead of, like you said earlier, if I
He keeps
diss her,
eyeing me though. It's fine.
if I diss her, maybe she'll want to have sex with me even more. It's that whole fucking
Negging.
thing.
The
Right.
negging.
There you go.
Brought
the
it back full circle.
Yeah, yeah. I had a thought.
Yes.
Okay, back to your point about why now and the internet, and when you built up of internet culture and being on the M&M message board, and that nerds are now brought together into the mainstream because they're able to find each other. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me, that now everyone's out because there's so many people that can find each other in those communities if you're vocal online about it, which is the same thing that's super upsetting with everything that happens online that is horrible.
Totally.
With those groups being able to unite people of
All the bullies get to unite too.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially, I love your point too about like the timing of all this too. Is like you were in that generation with us where like we were the kids who like first got on the internet and started being moderators at age 11. Like that's a crazy thing. And our
we would
parents
lie and say we were 16, but you know.
exactly. But our parents were
Everybody did.
barely on the internet. Like they just understood like the chat rooms and
Yeah.
chess. They weren't always the same. But the architects of the internet before us were the nerds, right? So all the good websites were every database of Star Wars lore or like anything that any nerd wanted to put in writing got on the internet quickly. So just like your M&M board, which is very specific of your fandom, there was a lot of cross culture there. I've never watched more than maybe an hour and a half total of anime, but I've seen so many anime things tangentially because of GIFs or anything that's in our world. Like,
yeah, there's like a cross culture. Yeah.
right? And so like even in forums, like probably in the M&M forum, there was like an anime GIF that you would never have seen if you hadn't been on that forum, but you've never watched anime.
Totally.
So that's where it all starts
And
cross-contaminating.
I actually got into Photoshop that way too, because like people would Photoshop, I guess, like the original memes, like before that was a thing, like before it was even called a meme, like where you just Photoshop
first
things
memes.
together and like put like a caption on
Reaction
it, and
face.
it was stupid shit like that, and then that's how I learned to Photoshop, because I thought that was so funny. Like it tickled me in that way, and I think that nerd humor, it's like I didn't find anyone in real life that was tickled the same way, or like I found very few people that was tickled the same way by that type of humor.
Yeah.
So then we all found each other on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's how that kind of happened. And then now I feel like people are out in the open. You could go to conventions and stuff, and like
everybody brings their own little thing, which
Yeah.
then just makes the pot a little bit bigger,
Have you ever been to a convention?
not a nerd convention. I've been to VidCon and like the YouTube conventions.
Cool.
But,
Yeah, those are more techie,
By the
but yeah.
time, actually no, I have gone to Kamikaze the first time it was in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that one?
It's like
Stanley's-
LA's Comic-Con, but yeah, it's
I did Comic Con before it was cool.
yeah. Comic-Con
Before
got
the
too
movie
big.
business
I
took
got
it over.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
Me and my dad would take us every year in like '97, and it was just like dudes with folding card tables and just comic books everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you got maybe some free swag, and maybe they give you a free comic book when you walk in or something.
The smaller ones, or like the medium-sized ones, are kind of still like that. Like WonderCon, which is also a Comic-Con thing, is like
about
a
the
better
size of
version of that
Comic-Con.
now.
Okay.
I think like cosplay also got a lot of people, like the art community. Like my friend loves cosplay, and she like just likes designing costumes. Like that's her thing. And so she's like a nerd, but also she just really likes that part of it. And so she'll go to all the conventions because she likes to like put those out.
Cosplaying, I'm
so
on the
jealous of
fence
that skill.
about, because it's one of those things.
Why?
What do you
Steve,
mean?
we need to break down
Why is
your
it a party
barriers
pooper?
with
No.
judging other people.
No. I'm just talking about for me. For me.
Oh, for you dressing up.
Oh, okay.
As always, I'm talking about myself.
True, he doesn't even like going to theme parties
Oh,
or
man.
like dressing up.
You know what?
What
not
is
for
it
me.
about
I kind of
dressing
struggle
up?
with that too.
Yeah, I just
yeah.
don't.
It's
It's a pain in the ass, I think.
yeah, more work than you want to.
Yeah.
But then when you do go to them and you do get into it, do you have a good time?
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
all know that, but then we're so hesitant to like take.
That's what I
Full
mean by
trigger.
I'm on the fence, because it's
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where it's so much fucking work. But then I'm like,
Bless you.
I can see why people have fun with it,
And they're getting good at it, man. There's
Yeah.
some impressive cosplaying out there.
and that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
like about it. I like to see people do it, but
Yes.
I don't like to partake.
Sure.
Can I tell a little nerd story about
Yes.
a
Please.
cosplayer friend? She goes by Nissa Cosplay, and because Nissa is a character in Magic the Gathering, and that was the first thing she cosplayed as. But her name is Nadine, and I recently met her because we were both hired to work at a Red Bull-sponsored Magic the Gathering Modern tournament in Florence, Italy, and she had made the most elaborate, beautiful wings in this angel cosplay, and it was so cool. And one of her other cosplays was, oh shoot, I'm forgetting which planeswalker, but she had glowing blue contacts. They were UV contacts that you have to like
That's
charge
so
them with
scary.
the UV light. She might have eye damage.
Yeah.
But it looked amazing. And she had this hat that shined a UV light at the contacts.
So it always glowed.
Incredible
Wow.
attention to detail.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Shout out to Nadine.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Check
bro.
her out.
Yeah. Nissa cosplay.
Oh, okay. So I don't even know how this happened, but we're like at the end of our hour.
Jesus.
It flew by.
Oh.
So thank
This
you guys.
is just part 1, right?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, right? We
I would
do
love
have to,
that.
we have to have a part 2. We have to like play some games, some actual games, because now I'm like all amped up
That
talking
would be
about
way
it.
fun.
Definitely would love to anytime.
Yeah, that'd
but
be
Don't
fun.
worry, I have
For
Mall
sure.
Madness in my trunk.
hell
really
yeah.
do.
We could play those 2 to 4 player games because
That's true. We
Yeah,
can actually
we
play
should-
4-player
Yes.
games. If you guys will have us, I know you think I'm a bully, but I'm not.
No. We think
He's a
you're
fun time.
Wife
I hope you-
specifically has said several
Yeah.
times that
He
you
is
are
a
a
bully.
I
bully.
want that you guys will be
you.
my friend
But
after all
it's
this.
wanna
really, it
convert
comes
you.
from insecurity because he can never win. Because I
I'm bad at
constantly, I
games.
constantly kick his ass at games and he can't win. So
It's hard.
his defense
I'm a
is
small
just
man. It's
to
bullying.
lash
He has
out.
to
Yeah,
bully
sure.
them.
You gotta let go if
Yeah.
you can't win. I get that.
Exactly.
Detach.
Yeah.
He's got to take others down if they, if you can't.
That's true. That helps
Or
a
get
lot.
better at games.
I don't know about that.
I don't think it's
I don't think I
possible.
can.
I don't think it's
I've played games for years. I'm so bad at games.
You have a capacity to grow.
Well,
I
thank
believe
you.
in you.
Very nice. Maybe you'll be my friend
Don't pump him full
after all
bear.
this. Yeah,
see.
probably
Yeah,
not. You've
yeah.
got a lot of friends.
3.
Just 3.
That's a lot of friends.
We like to do a thing at the end called final thoughts, where we just like say one thing to like wrap up the whole experience. Definitely want you guys to give us your thoughts.
The whole experience of this conversation.
Yes, of
Oh,
this,
great.
of this conversation.
I feel like I have 2 new best friends.
And
Seriously?
they are
I know she's
not
really
here
cool.
right now, but
I wanted to say hey to Katie and Melissa.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm excited to play a game with you two.
Dude.
And to
I
show
legit want
you-
to actually do it. If
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah,
are down,
we're going to.
people who say it
I
and we
promise.
do it.
Yeah.
And we should follow up on this.
We
in
could play
some way,
Contact.
too.
I would
Yes.
love.
Okay.
Drinking and games sounds like the most fun ever.
It is
Yeah.
Friday when we're recording this.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true. TGIF. You think it's just coffee in here?
I bet our house is a fucking mess right now.
I know. That's a bummer.
It's a
It is
disaster.
mess.
Is that your guys' thought for this?
Yeah, that's mine.
We were like, I know his train of thought was like, well, we lived right down the street. We could do a video game, but
We can't
then
have people over
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
we
though.
can't have- Like
It's a
honestly,
disaster.
we're remodeling our bedroom, so like our bed is in pieces all throughout the living room right now. So it's like actually like a tornado hit it.
I'm literally going to go finish painting my bedroom where everything is pushed into the middle because I've taped off all
Yes.
the walls.
What
Yeah.
color?
Whoa, same.
We just finished
Well,
painting.
it was bright purple and it was too much for a bedroom, so
true,
going
it's
with a neutral gray.
Okay, I just painted
moves.
over neutral gray with
Bright purple.
black and white. Yeah, right. Black,
Ooh,
white, purple.
cool.
No, but you know what's weird is that when I was repainting it, there was this little part that wasn't painted by the previous owner, and I guess I forgot to paint because it was behind the outlet panel thing, and it was bright purple at one time.
Whoa.
It was like this bright fuchsia, like bright purple.
We're in a time loop.
Yeah. Maybe you lived there. Maybe it was your bedroom.
We're in the same house at different eras.
Oh my god.
She
Our
wouldn't
time
trust
streams
me-
are crossing.
She wouldn't trust me to paint because I'm very not good at a lot of things. I think we've established that. But it was very satisfying to watch her paint. Like watching the black paint cover the wall, I was like, wow, I could do this all
That's
day.
your ASMR.
When I
think
painted
is.
it purple, my best friend and husband sat on the bed watching me paint.
It's satisfying.
I wouldn't let him help because the ceiling trim ain't no way that guy's gonna paint a straight line. No way in hell.
I wouldn't trust him.
Stream
He couldn't
that
do. He
shit.
couldn't do a mini.
Make some money off it.
Oh, I
at
did
least.
once. One of my most popular Twitch streams was me painting a door.
What?
Is that right?
So people would literally go watch paint dry for you.
I think it was more of ironic watching, like that time that person made all the money on Kickstarter for his potato salad.
That's really good.
know what I-
Yeah, I love all that shit.
Oh, yeah, it was one of
That's
the highest.
It was a
masterful.
good
I didn't hear
salad.
about that.
Oh yeah, he
Wow.
made
There was
like
a fart
hundreds of
jar,
thousands.
too.
Really?
Yeah, that sold pretty well.
There was a girl that sold her bathwater and then she got all her Instagram taken away.
Yeah, I heard
There was
Yeah.
a brick that people said was from Marshall Mathers' house, wasn't there?
I had
Yeah,
that brick.
She bought it. She's a high bidder.
I'll have you know it's authenticated and it has. There's only a
Has a
limited number.
lithograph.
There was only 700 that got sold, and I have
A little of his ex-wife's hair attached to it.
Yeah, if I could be so lucky.
Hey, look, I okay.
He's
so
the one that makes the vicious songs. Okay, don't
It's true. No, it's not.
Here's some of my nerd credentials. I have Batman statues. What do you think of that?
fucking awesome.
Oh, I always call them figurines by accident.
Don't call them figurines. That's not
genuinely
what they
do
are.
it by
Yeah,
accident.
because you're worried about them being perceived as toys.
I can't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't have it.
You call them
They're
statues.
made of fine
statues.
resin, sir.
How tall are they?
My tallest one's
Figurine
Also
height.
toys.
my
Are they
tallest
made
one's
by
like
Sideshow
this size.
Collectibles?
A couple of them.
Hell yeah. Shout out
really
to
dope.
Sideshow Collectibles. They made a game called Court of the Dead Mourner's Call. Pretty good game.
It'll come out someday soon, right?
Oh, is it not out yet?
I don't know.
I love that game though.
This will go out.
It's
in
very
like,
pretty.
This will come out in like a month and a half.
Well,
so maybe
they've
it'll be
been
out by then.
Well,
shipping
if
this
people
game
got it on
for a year and a
Kickstarter,
half.
then it'll come someday.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Or hopefully, or maybe not, because sometimes that happens.
I think they're gonna do it. It's
They're
just
gonna
matter
do
of
it. Yeah, the prototype was awesome.
That's so cool.
So now, do you guys think that I'm nerdy because I have Batman statues?
Yes.
when. You got
Thank you.
You got the credit.
Is that your final thought?
Yeah. I just wanted to point out
You
that
just
I
want to
have,
say you have Batman statues?
I have Batman
1 point
statues.
nerd cred.
Thank you.
Good T-shirt.
I have so many thoughts. I mean, the final thought is that I just want to play a game now.
True.
Like so, and I
Yeah.
think that hey, let yourself play. That's my final thought. Just allow it. Maybe just once this week, let yourself play.
Just don't play too hard out there. Okay?
Word.
Yeah.
Be careful about it.
And then, where can they find you if they want to watch games and stuff?
You can find me on all social media at the Becca Scott, and you can find links to all my shows constantly on my Twitter feed, along with information about Universal Basic Income.
Our podcast is Victory Points Podcast here on Studio 71. You can find me at the Jake Michels. Michels is spelled without an A, so Michels. Yeah, it's German.
So different.
And our show, Game the Game, is on YouTube on Geek and Sundry's channel, and it's pretty fun. Come watch it.
Perfect.
I only plug myself. You,
I know.
plugging
our
you plugged all our
Professional.
stuff.
He got you. Real pro. It's the director. You're the cast.
Jake will tell you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here again. And also, if anyone out there has a topic you would like us to discuss, you can always email us podcast@nikki.limo. That's podcast@nikki.lamo. And we will see you next time.
Thank you. Please rate us. That really helps a lot. Thank you.
Rate us on iTunes. Thanks.
Rated at 5.
Yes. 5's only.